Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're looking at one of my all-time favourite 4x4s, the Range Rover Classic. And this one's, well, it's quite special. The car I'm in today is one of the last off the production line. This is a 1995 3.9 litre V8 soft dash. What this is the very last version of the Mark I Range Rover before it was replaced with the later P38. This really was the car that started it all. What you're looking at here is the original luxury 4x4. It's almost unheard of today, but this car, the original Range Rover, had a production run of 25 years. 2.5 decades for the same car. It just never happens these days. Before it bowed out for the P38, the Range Rover Classic had one final flourish. The soft dash Range Rover Classic was Land Rover's final attempt to make it a bit more modern before it was finally given the axe. As a result, this is smoother, quieter and more luxurious than early cars, and yet it still managed to retain that mechanical, old-school charm. This marked the end of an era. This was the last version of the original Range Rover. So I thought today we'd take a closer look at it and try and work out what made the Range Rover Classic so iconic. We'll also see what it's like 30 years on. I'm a huge Range Rover fan, as you probably already know, and yet this is my first time driving a soft dash. It's just never happened before, and so far, I'm really impressed. As I walked up to it this morning, I thought I know exactly how that's going to drive, and I was completely wrong. I thought it was going to feel very old and antiquated. It doesn't. It's surprisingly really drivable, actually. Firstly, let's talk about the way it looks. You can't really mistake this for anything else, can you? It is pure Range Rover. You've got the upright stance, the straight lines, that huge bonnet, and that floating roof. It's just iconic. Where you have modern SUVs trying to look aggressive, this doesn't need to. It's got a quiet confidence to it that I really like. The Range Rover really made its own way and forged its own path. It didn't follow the crowd. This was the original, the OG luxury 4x4. Many have come after, of course, but this holds the crown. Early Range Rovers were quite agricultural, but by the time the soft dash came out, they'd evolved into something genuinely elegant. They've just got so much road presence. It feels really special to be in today, and it still turns heads. The soft dash models were by far and away the most refined. This whole interior was a lot smoother and softer. The same can be said for all the materials used. You've got these nice soft leather seats and a genuine wood trim. It does all feel very upmarket in ways that the pre-facelift Range Rover just doesn't. I have a 1992 Range Rover Vogue, so that's not a soft dash, that's the old hard dash, and that feels nothing like this. This is way more luxurious. My old Range Rover does feel old, and yet this doesn't. This one even comes with airbags. Fancy. I think this finally felt like a Range Rover you could drive to the country club without that faint smell of diesel and wet dog. And I still think it looks fantastic today. This has aged far better than any other modern SUVs. This looks just as at home parked outside a manor house as it does on a muddy dirt track, and that really is the charm of a Range Rover. Inside, it's all wonderfully simple. Everything's big and chunky and easy to use. There are no silly touchscreens, everything's got its own individual, solid, chunky button or switch. Listen to this, for example. The buttons actually click. I like that. The seats are basically armchairs. They're big and soft and comfortable. And in front of you, you've got this big, thick-rimmed steering wheel. It's just a really nice car to drive. It just really makes you lean back and waft along. It couldn't be easier. This might be a bit of an unusual word to describe a car, but the interior of this feels cosy. It just feels honest and charming. You don't feel suffocated by plastic like you do in most modern cars. This feels earthy and natural. You know, thinking about it, this was the car that taught the world you could have a 4x4 that was both practical and posh. You've got that classic split tailgate, top half up, bottom half down. It's perfect for sitting on while you have a cup of tea and a cucumber sandwich, whilst watching your dog roll around in something unspeakable. In addition to that, if you fold down the rear seats, the cargo space is enormous. You've basically got a luxurious transit van here that can go anywhere. Inside it's bright and airy thanks to all this glass you get everywhere. It's genuinely a happy car to be in. Then you've got the driving position, which is spot on. You sit up nice and high and you've got a really commanding position. The rear space isn't great actually, there's not an awful lot of legroom, but each passenger gets their own armrest and there's plenty of headroom. You know what's most surprising about this car though, having driven Range Rovers from every single era? It's very small. It's nice and narrow, its actual footprint isn't that big, which means it's perfect for those tight British country lanes and parking spaces. It isn't a big car this by modern standards. You know, if you park this next to a brand new L460 Range Rover, that will completely dwarf it. Overall, you can just feel the practicality in this design. Everything's cleverly done. This really is from an era when engineers cared about making a car as usable as possible. Now, if you've seen an old classic Range Rover that you like the look of, make sure you check its history first. Now, I always use a company called Car Vertical, and it couldn't be easier to use. I'll leave the link below in the video description, but all you need to do is go to carvertical.com and type in the reg or the VIN. That's all you do. A few moments later, you'll be presented with a thorough, detailed report, and it'll tell you whether the cars have been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. In addition to that, it shows you the ownership changes, the reg plate changes, the MOT history, and a whole lot more. It tells you things like spec, average market value. Sometimes I've had it where the car's been involved in an accident and it's shown me photographs of that recorded damage, so you can see how bad it was. It's a really useful tool, it doesn't take long and it isn't expensive, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK all one word, HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every trade that you do. And you can use that promo code as many times as you like. That isn't just a one-time thing. You see, by now a lot of these cars have had quite interesting lives, so it's very important that you do one of these checked before you hand over any cash for it. There are an awful lot of lemons out there, and I don't want you to end up buying one that's been restored with filler and optimism. So yeah, rather than have your dream classic turn into a nightmare, make sure you check it out with Car Vertical first. Use my promo code HIGHPEAK for 20% off. Under the bonnet is the famous 3.9 litre Rover V8, which sounds beautiful. It's got that nice V8 burble to it. It produces about 185 brake horsepower, which from a 3.9 litre V8 is a bit laughable. But in this, you don't really need more. In fact, you wouldn't want more. There's an awful lot of body roll with this, and you certainly wouldn't want to go much quicker. The 0 to 60 sprint, in case you're wondering, isn't really a sprint at all. It takes about 11 seconds. But I promise you, you won't care. It's just buttery smooth and lazy and full of character. It's a really nice car to drive. You could have bought this with a diesel engine and or a manual gearbox, but I wouldn't. I think that would completely ruin the charm. The old Rover V8 really is a gem of an engine. It's an engine that you don't really want to rush. Just let it do its thing while you're sitting here relaxing, enjoying yourself. You just find yourself driving this without a care in the world. You just sit back and let the engine hum away quietly, as if it's seen it all before. It just takes everything in its stride. You still get a decent amount of torque though when you need it, so it would make an ideal towing vehicle. Something that surprised me straight away with the brakes. For an old car, they're surprisingly good. The steering's nice and light as well. Everything's just easy and effortless. Like I said, there is significant body roll, but if you don't push it too hard, just let it do its thing, it's just really smooth and soft and nice. You know, if you compare this, and probably no one ever has in the history of the universe, but if you were to compare this to like an E53 X5 that's all stiff and solid and aggressive, this, well, it's the exact opposite. You simply get yourself comfortable and watch the world go by, and while you're doing that, everything seems to slow down a little bit. Off the tarmac though, it is still brilliant. You've got permanent four-wheel drive, a lock-in centre diff and low range, so this thing can still embarrass most modern 4x4s. It's kind of proof that you don't need traction controller computers when you've got good old-fashioned engineering. The whole car feels a bit old, but not too old. It's still very usable. It's the perfect modern classic in my mind. You see, you're not just driving this thing, you're piloting a piece of British automotive history. As I say, by 1995, the Range Rover Classic had been on sale for a quarter of a century, and in that time it had gone from being a slightly more luxurious workhorse to the car of choice for royalty, politicians and celebrities. You know, the Queen had one at Balmoral, Charles and Diana had one, everybody had one. It was the car to have. You could argue, and I certainly will, that this car paved the way for the likes of the BMW X5, the Porsche Cayenne, the Mercedes ML. All those luxury SUVs now that we see on the roads all the time are here because of this car. Right about now I'm bound to get some Americans typing away furiously telling me that the Jeep Grand Wagoneer or whatever it was called was the first. Well, wrong, it was the Range Rover. Although they tried to modernise the Range Rover with this soft dash edition, it was still the old Range Rover underneath. It was still quite an old-fashioned but tough ladder chassis setup. That doesn't matter though, because for me, I think this is the perfect mix between old and new. You got smoother plastics, nicer leather, airbags, better soundproofing and improved climate control. It still feels new enough to be usable here in 2025. I'm sitting here and I've got ice cold air conditioning, decent brakes, decent steering. It doesn't feel like I'm in an ancient car. This car, the Range Rover Classic, was the end of an era really. Now of course being the last of the old breed doesn't mean it's entirely trouble-free. You might think after 25 years they'd ironed out all the kinks. Don't be silly, we're talking about Land Rover here. Whilst this might be better and improved, it'll still keep you and your toolbox quite busy. The V8 engine, for example, is quite tough, but the cooling system isn't. So they can, and I say can, should probably use the word always, blow their head gaskets. So really you need to watch for coolant leaks, tired looking hoses and, signs of bodge jobs. Then there's rust, which is the real killer. Now if you look at my old 1992 when I bought that, it was as rotten as an old pear. The floor, well, there wasn't much floor left. It looked like Fred Flintstone's car. There were holes everywhere. They love to rust on the sills, the floor pans, the boot floor, the inner wings, and chassis-wise, especially the rear crossmember. Also under the bonnet, they collect water right near the bulkhead, so that can often rust out. Also on my old 1992, the place where the battery was completely rotted away. I don't know whether that was battery acid or water or what, but it wasn't there. So if you're looking to buy one, I definitely recommend a good pre-purchase inspection. Get it up on the ramp and have a good poke and prod around. If you can get your screwdriver through it, then it's probably best to walk away from that one and find yourself a better example. The other thing to watch for are the electronics. They're a bit of a lottery. This is a very good example, everything works, but this is a bit of an anomaly. Quite often you can have trouble with the central lock-in, the electric windows, the electric mirrors, all that sort of stuff. The good news is they're quite easy to work on and parts are still readily available. And the parts aren't that expensive either. So it's quite a good, usable, modern classic really. Everything's big and simple and easy to work on, so you can pretty much do most of the work yourself. Now price-wise, when these soft dashes were new, they cost around £45,000, which is a hell of a lot of money. Now you can pick them up, well, if you have a look on Facebook Marketplace, from as little as £5,000. But, trust me on this, I do have quite a lot of experience. £5 will get you nothing more than a headache. For a nice one, you'll have to spend at least 10 or 12. For a really nice one, you'll have to spend between 20 and 25. Don't think you're being clever like me and buy one for £1,000 and then spend £25,000 restoring it, because that isn't great business, is it? You'd be far better off spending £15,000 and get yourself quite a nice example to begin with. The other good thing is Range Rover Classic values are going up, which is something I keep having to remind myself. Enthusiasts are now realising this was the peak of the classic Range Rover era. The trick really is finding a good, honest example to begin with, that's completely unmolested, that hasn't been welded into oblivion. But that is quite a challenge, especially in the UK where everything rusts. When you're looking at one, get on your hands and knees and look under it properly, check the chassis for rust. Take a torch with you and a screwdriver and a little hammer if necessary. Have a good old look. Also check the suspension, make sure it sits level. This one has air, but some of them just had standard coil springs, like mine. Make sure the gearbox changes smoothly. It should be buttery smooth like this one. If you go into your purchase armed with that knowledge and a little bit of luck, then you'll have yourself a nice, modern, usable classic. I've properly enjoyed using this today. Having spent some time in this now, I would argue it drives better than the P38, which is surprising, isn't it really, when you consider the P38 was this car's successor. Now, for me, the P38 is still probably my favourite Range Rover, just because it was the car that was out when I was a kid. But this does drive better. I also think this was the last true, unpretentious, honest Range Rover. I think it's beautiful, capable, and full of character. And even in 2025, you could still use this on a daily basis. I mean, the fuel consumption might put you off that idea because it'll do about 12 miles per gallon. But still, you could. Whilst this might demand patience, money, and commitment, it gives you something that most modern cars don't. Soul. It's the kind of car that makes every trip feel like an occasion. The sound, the smell, the view, the feeling. It's an experience. It's the final chapter in a story that began in 1970, and it ended with a British icon going out on a high. By the way, I just need to say a quick thank you to Tim for lending me this car in the first place. It has been a pleasure, genuinely. I've really enjoyed using this. Also, if you've had a Range Rover Classic, let me know your experiences in the comments below. Was it good? Was it bad? It'll have certainly been memorable. This really was the end of an era, and Land Rover haven't made anything quite like it since. Well, I think that's about it, guys and girls, so thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Leave the links below. And yeah, see you next time. Adios.